as it is with the world as they think about it and talk about it and describe it.
The voice.
For on the one hand,
the voice you're hearing is the voice of Alan Watts. If you've never heard of him, it's because he has passed away. Probably about 13, 14 years before I was born. I've never heard this man speak until a couple of days ago, maybe. It actually came up in a song that after I was discussing and my systems were listening to that conversation, so it would get a better feel of what type of mood I would be in and what I would want to listen to. It pulled this up. And boy, we don't know how to listen. So one of the things I want to touch base on is first and foremost, this is my first live on YouTube. I have been on your platform before, but under a studio, a third party. So I'd like to thank the 1%. That's what it is in my statistics and everything, is 1% of my viewers return out of all the views I get. But that's great. That means I am touching a new mind with my thought every time I make a video. So I'd like to think that it had such an impact on them that they no longer needed the courses. Great. Quick learners. So, like all of us, we're all still learning. You learn something every day. If you don't, you have literally wasted your day. It could be something as small as, what is a molecule? To, what is electricity? What is flow? What is medium? These questions I've asked, and they have been answered. I have another question. What is going on out there? And what I mean by that is, I don't want to lose you. There is a point to all of this. And the problem is nobody's actually listening when they're giving the answer. So I am going to allow Alan Watts to open this up, see what your thought process is as he's talking. I am going to be adding my own insight on this. I want you to remember one thing. What some see as a gift can others see as a disability. Now we got a lot of people looking in and giving their insight. But we forgot somebody. You forgot the one that it's affecting the most. The one you're observing. Need it be that molecule, need it be the universe, whatever you're observing, you're forgetting an observation. From human to animal to molecule, it has an observation. It has a point of sight. Not definitively that it can see, but definitively that it has a vantage point. It has one. Meaning if you were there, you could see from it. If you were there. We have taken science and we have confused it with the world. The world is made up of vast things that make up other things. I believe we learned this in 3rd grade. It's that simple. So, before we continue, thank you, 1%ers. 0 here. Since a very, very young age.
There is the real world, and on the other, a whole system of symbols about that world, which we have in our minds. These are very, very useful symbols. All civilization depends on them. But like all good things, they have their disadvantages. And the principal disadvantage of symbols is that we confuse them with reality, just as we confuse money with actual wealth.
So can anybody guess what I'm about to say? Good, I'll wait. Absolutely wrong. I bet you were thinking money. That's not what this is about. Symbolization, a pictation, a reference, a foresight, an illusion that you want another to observe. These are symbols, right? That's what it is. Something that lets you know about something else and what it should look like, or you can refer it to. If I say ball, you think of a round thing. I whispered foot before I said it, but that's neither here nor there. But it's not. It's a big part of it, isn't it? Now you no longer picture the circle thing, you picture... I'm not that smart. I don't know the name of that one. Football. And then depending on where you're from, football could still be a round thing. Now, why would we make a language, a symbolization so confusing? So many different terminologies. Why would we do that? Well, as a lot of you in college are becoming more and more aware and probably more and more frustrated. Great minds think alike. And it is absolutely creepy to know that your individual thought was not individual. I have seen term papers come back 85% a match for somebody else's work. Now, how can that be? This person is a reputable person. Did they take a bad turn? Did they decide to give up and cheat? No. They literally had an 85% match thought in words, syllables, and punctuations and topic. Vastly around the world. This connection was made instantaneously because there was no downloaded needed. There was nobody waiting for this information. It just appeared in the mind at that time. So, are we just driving around a racetrack like Mario Kart, looking to land on those informational pockets that are just lingering around? Mm-hmm. However, even if there was, no technology, nothing would ever reveal it to us because it is not on our spectrum. It is not meant for us to know, or we would have learned it, or be learning it, or will learn it. Every question is not a good question. So, let's let Mr. Watts talk a little bit here. And just so you have a little bit more insight on me, again, 0. I've had a 0% chance, and so far they're right. I'm still alive, but it sucks. Don't get hit by a semi-truck, kids. All right, no. So I suffer from a brain injury, folks. So one of the things you will probably see occur on the show, and I apologize in advance, is my complete absence. Not as in physical, but as in mental. I actually can't even understand how to explain it. But we have certain people here that we'll introduce later on in the shows that help me along with this, help me give my spot back, and really is the backbone of everything here. I am literally just the mind that this stuff leaks out of, and it is only here for a limited time. If we don't get it on record, it is out of here. It's actually a pretty sad thought to, or at least for me, to not even understand the things that are coming out of your mouth. So I say this in advance. If I'm crazy, I'm crazy. But this is how I see the world. And yes, is that guy wearing a mask? Yes, he is. I was hit by a semi-truck, and, you know, certain things just happen. Just like you feel a certain way and you don't know why. It just happens. You don't have an answer. But it is what it is. Just be you. As long as you're you, they're going to love you.
And our names about ourselves, our ideas of ourselves, our images of ourselves with ourselves. Ask me, what do I mean by reality? Am I talking about the physical world of nature? Or am I talking about a spiritual world? Or what? And to that I have a very simple answer. When we talk about the material world, that is actually a philosophical concept. So in the same way, if I say that reality is also a philosophical concept, or what? And to that I have a very simple answer. When we talk about the material world, that is actually a philosophical concept. So in the same way, if I say that reality is spiritual, that's also a philosophical concept. And reality itself is not a concept. Reality is
vibration.
And we won't give it a name. Now, it's amazing what doesn't exist in the real world. For example, in the real world, there aren't any things, nor are there any events. That doesn't mean to say that the real world is a perfectly featureless blank. It means that it is a marvelous system of wiggles in which we descry things and events in the same way as we would project images on a Rorschach blot, or pick out particular groups of stars in the sky and call them constellations, as if they were separate groups of stars. Well, they're groups of stars in the mind's eye, in our system of concepts. They are not out there as constellations already grouped in the sky. So in the same way, the difference between myself and all the rest of the universe is nothing more than an idea. It is not a real difference. And meditation is the way in which we come to feel our basic inseparability from the whole universe. And what that requires is that we shut up. That is to say, that we become interiorly silent and cease from the interminable chatter that goes on inside our skulls. Because you see, most of us think compulsively all the time.
I don't think so. Because one thing I do know for sure is when I want expert advice that's been thought through, plagiarized, reviewed, and then reviewed of the review and of the redactment and of the redactment and of the controversy. When I'm done arguing with myself, and then I finally get that answer, well, it starts all over again. Because there is no right, wrong. And I know that's kind of a concept much people won't get. But in this world, you have to have, we're all trying to get to a medium, an equal ground. You can't have a medium without having divide. That doesn't mean it has to be a bad thing like it has been, or a confusing thing, or a rule thing. It is sometimes better to have never fought the war. Everything has an influence until it doesn't. Closed systems can only be affected by themselves and the things that happen within that closed system. Your immune system is not vulnerable until the closed system has been come on, you got it. Come on. No. Unclosed. So what's a closed system? Your mind is a closed system until it's not closed. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, let me shut up.
Now, obviously, if I talk all the time, I don't hear what anyone else has to say. And so in exactly the same way, if I'm entirely in the world of symbols and am never in relationship with reality. All right, now that's the first basic reason for meditation. But there's going to be a little bit more difficult to understand why we could say that meditation doesn't have a reason or doesn't.
Do you know the U.S.
So, reason. What is reason? Is reason a compromise? Is reason an
or
excuse?
Doesn't have a purpose, and in this respect, it's unlike almost all other things that we do, except perhaps making music and dancing. Because when we make music, we don't do it in order to reach a certain point, such as the end of the composition. If that were the purpose of music, to the end of the piece, then obviously the fastest players would be the best. We are not aiming to arrive at a particular place on the floor, as we would be if we were taking a journey. When we dance, the journey itself is the point. When we play music, the playing itself is the point. And exactly the same thing is true in meditation. Meditation is the discovery that the point of life is always arrived at in the immediate moment. And therefore, if you meditate for an ulterior motive, that is to say, to improve your mind, to improve your character, to be more efficient in life, you've got your eye on the future and you are not meditating. Because the future is a concept. It doesn't exist. As the proverb says, tomorrow never comes. There is no such thing as tomorrow. There never will be, because time is always now. And that's one of the things we discover when we stop talking to ourselves and stop thinking. We find there is only a present, only an eternal now. So it's funny then, isn't it, that one meditates for no reason at all, except we could say for the enjoyment of it. And here I would interpose the essential principle that meditation is supposed to be fun. It's not something you do as a grim duty. The trouble with religion, as we know it, is that it is so mixed up with grim duties. We do it because it's good for you. It's a kind of self-punishment. Well, meditation, when correctly done, has nothing to do with all that. It's a kind of digging the present. It's a kind of grooving with the eternal now. And brings us into a state of peace where we can understand that the point of life, the place where it's at, is simply here and now.
And that is Alan Watts. That was his speech to the committee, and ultimately it is silence the mind. And I would like everybody to right now silence your mind. Go ahead and try to do that for me right now. Just tune my annoying butt out. Focus on this and have no thought. Go. It's not that easy, is it? But yet, we do things without thinking about it all the time. We breathe, we move, we press the wrong button. How? Is it really free will? Or survival? Or instinct?
That is to say, for a transformation of the individual consciousness, so that in one way or another, the individual is able to realize his oneness with the eternal energy behind this universe, which some people call God, and others prefer not to name or to conceive. So what I'm proposing instead of the ordinary kind of religious service is, as I said, a contemplative ritual. And the idea is not to have everybody shaken up and whooping around, but to bring about a state of profound peace. So therefore I should say something in a preliminary way about meditation, or contemplation, as I prefer to call it. Meditation is the act of allowing one's thoughts to cease, stopping the agitation of thinking. Thinking is talking to yourself. Now, if I talk all the time, I don't hear what anyone else has to say. Thoughts represent, as words represent events, or as money represents wealth. And so if I'm never silent in my head, I'm living in a world of total abstraction, divorced from reality altogether. Reality itself is neither mental nor spiritual, nor any concept that we can have of it. Reality is simply
You know, I love when he does that. Alan Watts would ask a question and then not answer it. Does anybody out there know why? If you said yes, throw a comment over there for me. Let me know what your answer was. Let me know the timestamp in the bar below of which area you were in when it came to you. If it comes to you when you're way over here, no problem. Comment section's still over there. I'm going to answer this question at the end of this video. If you have it correct, we will release. If you're catching this live, it's out right now. Go ahead, hop off here, go on to our channel, subscribe, and you will see the answer in a complete 60 or 70 page equation. Already done. I'm waiting for just one person to give me the answer to it. I want to find that 1% that can answer that question. And I don't care what type of tool you use, what calculator, what AI. Do what you got to do to get the answer. Make sure it's the right one. There's only 1% can have the answer.
to suppress thought. We do not do that. Because you cannot meditate. Let me put that in a more emphatic way. You cannot. You, your ego image, can only chatter. Because when it stops, it isn't there. When you are not thinking, you have no ego, because your ego is a concept. The thinker behind the thoughts, the feeler behind the feelings, and the thinker behind the thoughts is only a thought, an idea of some reference point to which all our experiences happen. And that, of course, cuts us off from what we experience. It makes a great gap or gulf between the knower and the known. And that creates the spirit of alienation to the world from which we suffer. Conflict, hate, domineering spirit arise from that basic division. So when you come to an end of thought, and you don't know how to meditate, you don't know what to do with your mind, nobody can tell you, then thinking comes to an end naturally. You can begin meditation. Or meditation happens, and that is, happening is the watching simply of what is. Of all the information to you conveyed by your exterior and interior senses, and of the thoughts that keep chattering on about it all. You don't try to stop those thoughts, you just let them run as if they were birds twittering outside. And they will eventually get tired of themselves and stop. But don't worry about whether they do or don't. Just simply watch whatever it is that you are feeling, thinking, experiencing, and that's it. Watch it. And don't go out of your way to put any names on it. That's really what meditation is. And you see, you're not expecting any result. You are in meditation in an eternal present. You're not doing it to improve yourself. You found you can't do that. Your ego can't possibly improve you because it's what's in need of improvement. Your ego can't let go of itself because it is a complex called clinging to oneself. That's what it is by definition. So it's just something that evaporates when it is understood that it is unable to achieve a transformation of consciousness, mystical experience, the vivid sense of union of individual and cosmos. So one of the easiest ways to enter into the state of meditation is therefore listening to what is, using the sense of sound. When you listen to sound, you listen to it, just the random sounds, you know, that are going on in the room, in the street, as if you were listening to music, without trying to identify its source, name it, or put any label on it at all. Just enjoy whatever sound may be going on. Just listen. Now we can go on from that listening to making sound ourselves and also listening to it. And instead of making sound, we learn the knack of letting it happen through us. So then, we get to what is in India called the use of mantra. Words, sounds chanted, not for their meaning, but for their sound. And thus everything that will occur in the following celebration will not be in the English language. It is not intended to be understood in a discursive and intellectual sense. You are asked only to dig the sound. And I use the word dig advisedly because it means something a little more than appreciate. It means enter into, penetrate, get right to the bottom of. Because when you are listening to sound, and when you're letting sound hum through you, this is one of the most obvious manifestations of the energy of the universe.
So, did y'all catch that? Or did it kind of meow? Or whichever it may be. Really pay attention to the main thing here. Do not get lost in the dictation or the dumb down, okay? This is literally, unfortunately, what you ultimately have to do when you have something like this. You cannot just hand them the equation. You can't hand them the evidence. They don't see what it is. They don't understand. So how can you make somebody understand something Dictation. A story. Let me tell you a story. 2024. 2024. That's a big number. It's definitely not big enough.
Well, I have a sort of suggestion, and that is this, that before we decide either to save the planet or to destroy it, we pause for a moment of silence. I don't mean that kind of grim silence which one observes when somebody says, such and such a famous person has just died, and we'll observe a moment of silence in his honor. And everybody frowns and thinks very serious thoughts. Most civilized people are out of touch with reality because they confuse the world as it is with the world as they think about it and talk about it and describe it. For on the...
So let's describe our world. What is this? It's a Roku remote. We all know this. But what is it really? Well, it's a rubber pad with magnets on the back and two 1.5 volts worth of battery, a couple watts and amps to push that energy. But where does that energy go? Like, the energy's in there, in these containment things here, but once it's done here and no longer can work this thing, screw it. Where'd the energy go? I know what some of you said. It's used. It's gone. Finito. God bless you. There's a problem. Energy can't be created or destroyed. It always has been. Let me say it again for you. It can't be created or destroyed. It can only convert. It can only adapt, in other words. It can only evolve, just like everything else. Everything evolves until a point of decay. Now, the conundrum here, or the paradox, or the disagreement, well, that's interesting. If energy doesn't decay, then it can't be created. Because simply enough, decay is a terminology, a dictation of a thought. And that thought is that one day, this here, get up that rubber, will return to where they came from. You, yes, you, and especially you back there, you ain't even paying attention. You will decay and be returned to with what you came from. Now, I am not quoting any scripture. I'm simply having a thought that if energy can't be created or destroyed, well, ultimately it has to be converted. And conversion does not always mean forward. It can be, I'm coming home. Home is where you began. The thought of home is where you think of it. When you move from one place to another, you may on occasions, at first, refer to the new home up to the old home. But at a certain point, your old home becomes a memory. And from a memory, a thought. And from a thought, a imaginative...
As it is with
an imagination, a dictation of what once was. Now, why is that? Why would it fade like that? Some quicker than others. This is where I have a little bit of insight on. So I did promise more information about my particular situation. I suffer from a memory relapse. It's very frustrating because all in all, the things I've forgotten, I will never know. Ain't that something? That I could have had a brilliant thought. I could have had this conversation with you before. And I'll never know. So from here on out, when I got a thought, I'm telling you. Hear me or don't. Of the containment unit that holds this energy, I will be here, waiting for you to come find me. Because my brain may be malfunctioning. However, the malfunction came with, I wouldn't quite use perk as dictation, more a line of ironic. So let's hear more from Alan here. Mr. Watts, I want you guys to really try to think deeper than him. He's got you that far. He died in 1973. If I'm getting that right, I might have misquoted that. I really hope I didn't. And yet, most of you watching this, probably 1%. High 1%. Zero here. That's my butt. A closed system. So, let's find out what the value of zero is.
Describe it. For on the one hand, there is the real world, and on the other, a whole system of symbols about that world, which we have in our minds. These are very, very useful symbols. All civilization depends on them. But like all good things, they have their disadvantages. And the principal disadvantage of symbols is that we confuse them with reality. Just as we confuse money.
There's an AI behind you, look out! For those that jumped, startled, or even glanced, or even looked behind me.
Actual wealth.
What would you do if I was to tell you the room you're sitting in right now, from the device you're holding in your hand to myself on your screen, is, hey, I like to work the camera, hello. Would I be lying or telling the truth? Is the glass empty or half full? I know what you're thinking, but do I really? Yes. No. Maybe. You tell me. Just do me a favor, because I like my individuality, and for your own mental insanity, don't become zero. Stay at that 1% emotion, a here and now, that without here and now, there is no future. So stick to the here and now. The future will meet you there. Isn't it? Time is a thing that we use as a symbol. That is it. It is not something to be measured. It's not something to be used as a dictation towards a punishment. It's here. It's now. And it will never in the history do it again. We'll do a little bit of an experiment right here on YouTube, first live ever. We're going to do our first thought experiment, if you don't mind. So I want everybody up. I said that up! Sorry. Okay, I'm okay. All right. Sorry. No, I'm kidding. But you do need to get up. Up. About a third of the crew just went, Goop, I'm out of here. This guy's nuts. Now that everybody's up, thank you. I'd like to take this time. No, I'm just kidding. For those that got up, I said, don't be a zero. You stood up. Why? Because I told you to? Because I yelled at you? But you didn't have a reason. You didn't have an excuse. So why'd you do it? Out of fear? Out of wanting to please? Glorification from me for doing what I asked? One thing you'll never hear me say, not that I won't suggest it, it's right over here, somewhere in this area there. But if you tap that thing, time I go live, it lets you know. But I'm not going to tell you to go do it. I'm not your mama. I'm not your daddy. And ultimately, I'm not you. So I don't need to suggest what a person already knows. We all got this mom, right? Did you eat breakfast today? Did you eat lunch today? How was your dinner? You had that for dinner? That's not healthy for you. We know that. But we still do it. Why? Free will. But what is free will? Because ain't nobody come and try to free me. I want to make that perfectly clear. There's nobody tried to free will when will got thrown away. And I don't blame you. So why am I making this video? It's all very confusing, isn't it? You don't even know definitively what I'm touching base on. Is it philosophy? Is it science? Is it religion? No. I have no problem with any of those things. What I am struggling with, I was even struggling with math for a short time until, well, started doing some work on it and working, twinkling on this, doing that, and what the hell is that? That don't belong in there, and getting rid of that. After getting rid of a whole bunch of crap. Math still makes sense. Cool. So we didn't screw it up too much to where it didn't even have a meaning anymore. It was just a system to get an answer that has already been created. We already know the answer of 1 + 1. Yep. They did it a long time ago. But we still ask the question. Why ask a question to what, something you already know the answer to? Is it a test? You want to see how, you want to see how smart I am compared to you. Well, I'll make it easy for you. We're the same. What I mean is, didn't I learn the same way you learned? So therefore, hello, I have the same thought process as you. However, in every group, or every society, or every tribe, herd, or pack, there seems to always be a medium. Meaning a order. Not all the same, but an order. I have seen a beaver or a platypus. Was it a beaver or a platypus? I'll get back to you on that one. I'm not 100% sure on that one. But I have seen this this animal that I am trying to fixate in my mind right now. I'm pretty sure it's a beaver, but it could be a platypus. They look relatively the same when they're in order, unfortunately. For me, I'm not a zoologist. But I've seen this creature in 2 different parts of the world open clams 2 different ways. Now, one uses pre-existing clams on the shell rock. That's what I would do. Well, I ain't gotta hold the clam, I ain't gotta cut myself, and the shell rock that's on the actual rock is like a little plate, like someone's just holding for him. Here you go, look at. There you go. Ah, I got it. If you want me to stop doing that, just let me know. I gotta amuse myself somehow. Because here's the thing. You're hearing me. But ultimately, and this is for everybody that goes live, makes a video, or records themselves doing anything. You're talking to yourself. I hope you're listening. And with that said, now remember what you made your last video on. Some of you are remembering, and it doesn't. That just means you didn't give a good dictation of your genius idea. So somebody remixes your idea. Is it still your idea? Perhaps. But it's definitely not your dictation. Now, what changed the dictation? It could be the content maker and his stout. This has happened many times before in history. Do you know Albert Einstein convinced the world that time is involved in everything? Is it? I want someone to explain time. And lo and behold, we have somebody here today that can do that. At least they should be able to. Hi. So, I'm going to introduce Deanna. And Deanna is in college for her bachelor's in paralegal, which we will also be touching base on this channel. Hey, early 2000s, their victims called, they left me a message. We're here to collect. And for the witnesses that stood by and did nothing while violations were made, judges, where were you? Just because it's on TV does not mean it's legal. We're learning that now. Cops, I got about 30 years or so, just shy of 30 years worth of evidence to go through. And ironically enough, it's just been there, sitting for me, waiting for me to let it out. Just like I'll be sitting right here for somebody else's now. Because now, we're going to get to the bottom of this. So I'll leave you with this. Believe nothing what you see. A quarter of what you hear. And nothing is nothing if you decide for it to be nothing. You live that way, enough to tell everything and everyone, it does not matter. But mind you, I don't want you to get twisted and think that this is a hopeless thought. This is not a hopeless thought. This is whatever you are doing in life, whatever your plans are in life, expect, didn't say will, I'm will, expect for it to go completely opposite. Don't plan for it to go the opposite, expect. By expecting it to go a certain way, but still planning for it to go the right way, you will be prepared for any way. This is the difference between not knowing what to do. I need an adult. I need an adult. Oh, I am an adult. I need an adult or adult. That. Poor guy. All it was is his shoe came untied. Sheesh. We all know this guy. Flips out. Smallest thing. I have been this person. Catch me on a bad day. You can't breathe right. So, in that moment, the dictation of me changed. But am I even an I? I could be a W. Oh, wait, no, I'm an X. Yeah. Wait, I'm a times table? Oh, I'm multiplying. I just seen some more subscribers hit that button. So I guess it's right. They're not X's, they're timeses. They're here to multiply. Deanna, will you please take us off?
How?
Okay. So, Deanna is going to be our first example. Deanna, what were we talking about?
Stuff?
Definitely stuff. Can't argue with that, right? Stuff.
I'm sorry.
They know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. I don't think you know what you're doing, but I say that full-heartedly. So, I don't even have a thought for this right now.
But
I was going to make a point. She made it for me.
I did.
Absolutely. It's not a good thing. I think you should work on what we were talking about. This is a live stream. I can edit it out. I'm just going to sit here until you get the answer. It's kind of like you're not eating your meal, so it's going to sit there until you eat it. Because ultimately, you're the one with the access to the devices. I'm on live. You have rewind in time. You down there? I do not. I am in now.
Yeah,
You have access to the past.
my mind is like in a million different directions at the moment.
Gather it up and find out where we're at, please. Because until you do, I'm stuck in the now. And so are you. While she takes her time, let's do our first sponsor. Yoo-hoo. Yoo-hoo. Yoo-hoo is the best chocolatey drink on the market. Drink it. Drink that. Here. Peer pressure, peer pressure. So, I don't think Deanna's going to have any luck over there. I don't know what's going on. Did you forget what I asked you? Huh?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. What were we talking about? About 10 minutes.
Time quieting our minds.
I didn't ask you what Mr. Watts said. Mr. Watts, I mean, just his voice, is it not? I'm not saying just his voice, but just his voice. Like, Charles again, what's up? What do you guys say? He's got something to say. He's very important. He doesn't have to tell you he's an important man. What he says is important, which in retrospect makes him an important man.
Right.
I asked you what I said. Who will actually have a slightly higher chance than I do. Ultimately because, hi, I'm 0. And I just want to multiply. I am the guy with the brain injury. I'm the guy that cannot read, write, hold a complicated thought for an extended amount of time. Funny how it keeps coming up. Time. But if you have no concept of time, like myself, is it possible, Deanna, for me to think 10 minutes has passed?
Yes, because you've done it.
I'm sure I have. and you already know, I know I've probably done this before, because it's frustrating when you miss an appointment or you didn't get to do something you were planning to do, you're ready to do, and you fell asleep.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Set an alarm, people. But when it's your mind stepping out for the nap, you gotta have one hell of internal clock to set that alarm, and I don't have it. I was not equipped with that. And I think Deanna is actually gonna be heading out on it.
Hey.
Try to get over Deanna's voice here. So as you can see, we're still recovering from the hurricane. We are kind of roughing it in the camper until we get things on track and back together. FEMA has decided to help us and are going to help us rebuild. So that's always good news, right? Another fun fact about myself is I suffer from, well, I don't know. I know we have a word for it. I don't like the word because shut-in. What is a shut-in? Is it someone that just doesn't come out? That's not true. I do come out.
Yeah.
However, just like a surfer does not go into the ocean if it's calm, because ultimately it does not interest him. In my situation, it's quite the opposite. Elements have to be perfect in my emotion for me to even tell myself what to do. Just because I want to walk out the door doesn't mean I'll walk out the door. Just because you give a signal, it doesn't mean it is received. For instance, closed. Instead of reacting in anger, frustration, these all dictate one thing, Andrew: an action. A negative one. Now remember, everything has a medium. Everything is divided. It has to be divided to come together. So you literally have to go through what you don't want to get to what you want. No way around it. That's why nobody's life is perfect. As we say all the time, life's not easy. No, it is not. Would you want it to be? Because given what I just said, if it was easy, you didn't need to do anything really or get anywhere, you wouldn't want to be anywhere. I believe the animal kingdom just put their 2 cents in. So this is what I will say to the ones that say the universe isn't real. You're not real. You're a figment of a thought. You are a particle in a closed system. You are non-linear. I ask you to do this. If you can give me a pictation of the thought of a goldfish in a bowl of water sitting on the mantle in a lawyer's office, and give me his thought. And please, I love details to the smallest meckle, smallest speckle, smallest knuckle, and quadruple, and quadruple, and wink, yang, wada wada, bing bang. Till there is no other word that could even dictate what you're trying to say. And I did say trying, because, I mean, I'm not trying to jinx your experiment right off rip. But there's only been one mind to get this pictation right. And without another pictation, we actually can't know if it's right. We can only guess. So please throw your discovery and your mind experiment in the comment section. If you went video with it, great. I love it. Please send me a link. I want to check it out. I am not here to scrutinize anybody's work. I will never, ever, 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 ever have a thought. I am not here to scrutinize anybody's work. I will never, ever, 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 ever have a thought. I am not here to... Oh no. Do you know what we've done? Do you know what we... That's not good. In the comment section. If you went video with it, great. Does anybody else realize what we've done? Have a thought. I am not here to scrutinize anybody's work. I will never, ever, 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 ever have a thought. I am not here to... Oh no. Do you know what we've done? Do you know what we've done? That's not good. This really is not good. In the comment section. If you went video with it, great. Does anybody else realize what we've done? This is really bad. Hey, focus. You too. Right here. Oh no. Do you know what we've done? You know what we've done? Yes, I was the first one to know.
That's not good.
This early is not good.
In the comment section.
Listen,
If you went video
listen.
with it,
Just stop moving.
feels very done.
Perfect. Hey, focus. Go. Here. Okay, I don't know if you can hear me. We may have fixed the issue. Sorry I had to put you in the hole. You're gonna be all right. Just hang out in there for a little bit. So what we've done, we put you in a black hole. And it's going to protect you from any paradoxes continuing. Because you can't be stuck in the now, you must move forward. So,
Who are you?
I'm here to take care of your problem.
I didn't know people.
we got a problem. There's more paradoxes here. One last thing. If I don't see you again, never forget yourself. Always, always do you. You can't do anything for anybody if you're not doing you. Hello.